Our region's business is sponsored by PNC for the achiever in you.
For the better part of the past 3 years, transportation and transit was at or near the top of the agenda of the Allegheny Conference on Community Development and its affiliate, the Greater Pittsburgh Chamber of Commerce. Even though it meant that some taxes and fees were likely to go up, the private sector-led organization maintained that investment in infrastructure and stable funding for transit was critical to Pennsylvania's competitiveness. And the conference worked with business and labor groups across the Commonwealth to secure passage of the transportation bill. Dennis Yablonsky is back with us today. He's CEO of the Allegheny Conference, which of course co-produces this program. Gene O'Sullivan is CFO of the Elliot Group, a Westmoreland County-based manufacturer and member of the conference that actively championed the transportation bill. Welcome. Good to see you both.
Thanks, Bill.
Thank you, Bill.
Yeah, so this is a big deal for the business community to get this legislation through?
Yeah, as you mentioned, we've been working on it hard as a high priority for about 3 years, and I mean it's the way the goods and services move around throughout the economy. So it's a big issue, and particularly a competitiveness issue. To Allegheny Conference work in particular, you know, we're the lead organization for the region to try to attract and retain businesses, and infrastructure, and particularly transportation infrastructure, is always at the top of the list in terms of what companies use to evaluate where they're going to do their expansions.
Yeah, it seemed to be important all across the state. You had the major business groups, even involved with labor, quite a coalition to pull this off.
That's great. I mean, the business associations all throughout the state were clearly together on this, but the consortium also included organized labor, who we worked with carefully throughout the entire process. It was an unusual coalition, but a very successful one, and I was pleased to work with them on it.
Gene, how about from the standpoint of a particular business? What does this mean to a company like Elliot?
Very important to a company like Elliot. We have a large manufacturing operation in Jeannette, Pennsylvania, Westmoreland County. We have about 1,000 employees. We manufacture large compressors and steam turbines. We have a union workforce. The jobs in that community are very dependent on us being able to ship large products out of Jeannette to our customers. So it's an important competitive factor, and it's important for us to be able to complete the work that we take on.
And concerned that had this not gone through, that with the weight limits and things like that that have been proposed or were likely to happen, that would have really hurt the business?
Already was hurting the business. We have many closed bridges or roads where our equipment can't go over them. We ship 75% of our loads are over 180,000 pounds. These are big, heavy loads. We've taken 18 months to build them. The final thing is to put them on a large tractor trailer and get them to the port or get them to the customer. And timing is very important. We find we have to go 300 or 400 miles out of the way just to leave Pennsylvania. So that's very important to us.
Wow, so what we heard from Barry Shook in the first segment, the fact that they now might be able to not just maintain but upgrade and improve some of this infrastructure, that's going to have a meaningful impact.
It's critical to us, and that's why we supported the legislation and worked with Dennis and the Allegheny Conference. Normally we don't take an active role in legislation, but this was so important to us we thought we needed to do it. Pretty
much what you were hearing from the other conference members as well?
Absolutely. I mean, this was one of those issues that was universal. Everybody was in favor of this. Some had issues like Gene, others were public transit oriented. It's just across the board, everybody understands how important infrastructure is, and the fact that government has to play a critical central role in providing the initial funding to get this stuff taken care of.
Now I wonder too, are other states, you were the Secretary of the Department of Community and Economic Development for a number of years, so you kind of understand the competitive landscape for the state as a whole. Other states doing the same thing? Was this really important to Pennsylvania's competitiveness?
It is. A number of our surrounding states have taken action in the last few years to address transportation, and so that was going to, if we didn't do something, that was going to have us fall further behind. I'm happy to say that our governor, our General Assembly passed the most comprehensive transportation funding solution of all of those states. So we're in a good position as the money begins to roll out and the projects get funded to put ourselves in a positive, competitive position.
Now you touched a little bit on transit. I know it's moving big stuff that was really important to Elliot, but when you think about a metropolitan area like ours, and I assume Philadelphia,
right,
that became a critical piece of this.
No, it's essential. In Pittsburgh, 50% of the people that work in the central business district take public transit. It's an even higher percentage in Philadelphia. Two of the highest usages of that type in the country. And all these businesses rely and these people rely on public transit to get themselves to work. Without this bill, we were going to have problems.
You know, it's interesting too, because there was a real effort as part of the lobbying and building the coalition to get everybody to lock hands. And we've got a business out in Jeanette that's moving big things, and transit might not seem to matter. Other businesses that are in the heart of Pittsburgh, it really does matter. A real effort to get everybody to just join hands and really stick together on making it both happen.
And I think that was a secret of getting this passed. I mean, I know in our community, local legislators weren't so in favor of this bill because they're not interested in public transit. That's not what's happening in Westmoreland County. So the fact that we could get support for public transit from Philadelphia and Pittsburgh, and the rest of the state could look at the roads and bridges, I think that really worked to bring it all together finally.
Yeah, it was a whole comprehensive package. Everybody that needed something got something.
This will also be, it will be a leg up though for some other transit systems right across the state. It'll help them as well to some degree.
Yeah, it isn't just Pittsburgh and Philadelphia. Every county, all 67 counties in Pennsylvania have a transit authority.
Really?
And while the numbers are smaller, relatively speaking, they've got the same issues and the same needs. So this is something that transit affects everybody in the state.
So this is it now? Got a few years? We're sort of, it's under control, at least on the transportation issue?
Well, this is a long-term funding solution, and that was part of what we were looking for. But I do want to set expectations correctly. The money will mainly be used to fix and maintain what we have. There will be some new development, but the bulk of this money is required to keep our system functioning the way it is right now.
Okay, so if we want bigger, better things, that's another whole separate issue we got to deal with as a community.
That's correct, Bill.
Dennis Yablonsky, CEO of the Allegheny Conference, Gina Sullivan from Elliot, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Bill.
And we'll be back in a minute with a little dollars and cents. Stay with us.